Welcome to Beans and Breakdowns, a podcast dedicated to bridging the gap between specialty coffee and the heavy music community. On this episode, I'm joined by Wes Fortier from the band Death Threat, one of my favorite hardcore bands, one of my favorite hardcore albums, Peace and Security. How's it going?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
I'm very excited. I kind of not got bullied, but got peer pressured into reaching out because I played Philly a couple weeks ago and stayed with Nick, the geezer.
Yeah.
And he was like, you got to have Wes on. You got to have Wes on.
He did tell me about that.
Yeah. So I reached out and you were nice enough to say yes. So thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, of course.
I know, little precursor, you're not a coffee guy. That was well established. It's not important. It's not as important as you think it may be, but do you have something to drink on your side?
I do. Yeah. Yeah, I'm good.
What you got?
Diet Coke.
Just Diet Coke?
No, there's booze in it.
Oh, nice. I was going to say, if you're going to have a drink, you got to have something fun, you know?
Yeah.
By legal obligation, I have to have coffee. So I'm actually drinking one of the first coffees I ever roasted. It's from like about a year ago, but I kept it in my freezer in like a air sealed container. And it's a super weird coffee. And with age, it like kind of develops more flavors, if that makes sense. So it's like a lot of passion fruit and like super kind of sour, skittly notes.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but it's from Colombia and it's a really expensive coffee that I had the pleasure of roasting one time when I was doing that. So
Cool.
But yeah, it's from my old coffee roaster, Balance. So shout out
Awesome.
Balance. I've had them on the podcast like 8,000 times. So why don't you drink coffee? Is it like just a non-interest thing?
I had a bad experience when I was younger, and I don't know if that set the tone for the rest of my life or not, or if I just don't like it. But when I was like 16, I was on my way to band practice, one of my first bands, and I was walking. I didn't have a car or license yet. And I was like doing this like 2-mile walk in the winter. And I lived up by a Dunkin' Donuts. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go in there and get coffee. And I walked out and immediately like tried to slam the thing and it burned the fuck out of my mouth, my throat, everything. And it wasn't that bad, but like I didn't need like medical attention, but it sucked. And I was kind of like, I'm over it. I'm not doing this. Even when I was a kid, like I didn't even really eat soup and stuff like that. Just like hot liquids. I don't know. Never really got me, you know. But now like as an adult, like if like my kid is borrowing my car and he has a coffee in there and it spills in the cup holder, I'm like, fucking coffee. I hate the smell of it. I hate the taste of it. I don't want to see it, you know? So maybe I am the wrong guy to have on here.
I feel like you just had a traumatic experience. And now for the rest of your life, you're just like, that fucking coffee.
Yeah, I would blame the coffee for everything.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's sticky. It stays. Yeah, it's really funny.
I look at like the bottom of the cups and I'm like, how do people put this in their body? You know, but I'm over here drinking booze. So it's the same shit, you know?
I mean, yeah, you don't do energy drinks or anything. You just,
I drank a lot of Red Bull, but the combination of things led to like some heart issues. And I was like going into AFib a lot.
damn.
Yeah. So not a lot, but like enough where I had to like chill on the Red Bull, you know. I'll have one every once in a while. And when I say that, maybe like 2 or 3 times a year, I'll have one.
Wow, that's not a lot.
Yeah, but before that was like if I had a mixed drink, it was Red Bull and vodka. And, you know, like I would take them to get me, you know, that was like my version of coffee. So I would have a couple Red Bulls when I woke up, or I never really got into like the Monster and stuff. Even now, like if I'm drinking soda, it's harder to find than like regular Diet Coke. But if I'm at, you know, stop at a gas station and they have like caffeine-free Diet Coke, like I'll choose that over regular diet just to not have the caffeine.
I've had friends that have had that experience as well. And then also people that have caffeine allergies. I don't know what that is.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how that exists, but I have friends that don't drink coffee at all because they say that the caffeine, they're like allergic to it. So I don't know what that looks like, but
yeah,
for me, that would suck.
Yeah, I know. I definitely need something, but yeah, I don't do the Red Bull anymore.
That's why I get scared because I have some of my friends, they'll drink like, you know, multiple energy drinks a day. And I'm like, you need to chill on that. That's like a lot of caffeine.
Yeah.
And even though I'll drink like 3 coffees a day sometimes, that's still about 100 milligrams of caffeine, and a Red Bull has like 180, I think.
Yeah, and I was slamming like 4 packs, like
Yeah, that's well over the
I don't
like
know
recommended amount.
if I can blame that alone or, other habits, but um
I'm sure there
they
were mixtures in there.
yeah, but like dude, I didn't know what was happening, it like freaked me out. I wound up getting, it was kind of like I became very aware of like my heartbeat.
Mhm.
And it was almost like a little kid messing around on a drum set where it was just like all over the place. And of course it scared me. So then I went to the doctor, and the first time I went, there's like a pill they can give you to try to like kind of like reset it. And I was in the hospital for like a day and a half and it didn't work. So they had to like put me to sleep, do the shock, and then it
Fuck.
it it reset me. Yeah. Which I don't remember any of. I was sleeping while they did it. And then I went back in another time for it, and I don't remember how they got it, how they leveled it out that time. But it kind of became a thing. And my doctor gave me like a pill to take for it, like if it starts to happen. But he gave it to me with like the disclaimer. He's like, I'm going to give you my cell phone number before you take it for the first time. Make sure you call me. I'm on the phone with you. I was like, fuck this. I'm not taking this thing. So I just, let go of the caffeine. I'm done, for the most
Fuck
part.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, well, that's a great excuse to not drink caffeine. So
Mhm.
I'll say stay off the coffee. Don't go near it.
Yeah.
Decaf coffee sucks anyway, so don't even
So
try.
I've heard.
Yeah, it's the worst. It's not good. I've had one good decaf, I think, in my entire life, and the rest of it shit.
From not being a coffee drinker, though, it kind like my wife, if I'm like shopping and my wife tells me to pick up coffee, I'll pick up like decaf by accident or like instant coffee by accident. I just don't know what I'm looking for. My father was over a couple days ago. He's helped me with my son's car. He's like, "You got any coffee?" I was like, "Yeah." And I filled the top of the thing. I don't know how to make coffee. I filled it all up, like filled it to the top with the coffee, whatever grounds.
Hmm.
They gave him the coffee. He's like, "What is this?" I don't know.
You can't be trusted,
No, no, nobody wants me to make them a cup of coffee. Trust me.
or even buy it. Just
Yeah.
stay away.
I know this much, and I messed with them when I went out there. I said, "Hey, I ran out of sugar, so I put salt in it."
You know what's crazy though? So to an extent, salt does curb the bitterness in coffee.
Really?
Yeah, it's apparently I heard an interview with like a big coffee guy, and basically if you're in a pinch and you need Starbucks, get a cup of like the Pike's Place bullshit stuff, and get like a salt packet, and then get an extra cup. Pour half the coffee into the second cup. Pour the salt in until you can taste the salt in the half cup. Then pour the rest of the coffee in, and the bitterness will be basically almost gone. I tried it and it still sucks. So it's not the best option, but it is an option, I guess. You mentioned a little bit about on the way to your first band practice. I was told to ask you about your first band that started with like a DI or something like that. Is that the
It
band you're
was,
talking
yeah,
about?
it was called Disowned. It was me. I sang in the band. Steve Tio, that plays bass in Death Threat, was the bass player, and the two brothers Nick and Charlie Belmore, who play. They do or Nick plays with Many Eyes. They both do, or at one time they both did like the Josta solo band stuff. They
Hmm.
both played on the D. Snyder album. Yeah, they've done a bunch of Toxic Holocaust. They've done like a bunch of cool stuff since. But yeah, that was like my first hardcore band. It's up on, online and stuff. It's not great, but it's up there. I
And
had a band before that was more like a rock band, but
okay,
like a metal rock band. But yeah, that was like my first hardcore band.
was where in Connecticut are you based?
I'm right outside of New Haven. Like I live right near like Quinnipiac University. I'm not too far from Yale. Like I'm probably like 10, 15 minutes from Yale. In like downtown New Haven. But yeah, I've grown up there most of my life. I lived in Florida for a little bit when I was a kid, but I moved back up here when I was like 8 or 9, so I don't really count it.
It's too early to know anything bad about Florida. So
Yeah, no, no. I just knew that we moved from Connecticut to Florida and then back to Connecticut. So like and we didn't live like on the beach. We were like in the sticks. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah, yeah.
I would go outside to ride my bicycle and my mom would find me passed out on the sidewalk because it was so hot out.
I had one of the first bands I was in. The drummer and the guitarist were brothers, and they were from I think they were from New Haven area as well and had moved to, like, outside of Savannah, where I'm from. And then I think, their family ended up moving back and stuff like that once they moved out of the house, but they would always had I always remember them having weird accents and, doing weird drinks, like, they didn't drink sweet tea like the rest of us did, they drank, like, iced tea and stuff like that, so that was, like, my initial introduction to anything Connecticut was, like, playing in a band and the parents just being, like, the quintessential waspy, like, Connecticut family. Tell me a little bit about Burning Hearts. It's been around for a while.
Yeah. We celebrated 10 years back in April. I was working for somebody else for probably 5 years at the time, and, he decided he didn't wanna do it anymore. He didn't wanna own a shop, you know, and we had just moved our shop to a new place, and, I worked out a deal with him to take over that building, and, I changed the name and brought in some new people, and, he stayed on with me. He pierced there for a while. But yeah, that was our original location, was in Waterbury, Connecticut, and, we moved to my hometown, Hamden, 5 years ago. Yeah, I just re-signed my lease, so it was 5 years ago, and, I wanted to be closer to home and stuff like that. I had a big it was a big deal to get, the zoning was a problem here. So I had to fight with them for a while. Not really fight with them, but get them to change the zoning because it was like old antiquated stuff. They had us like categorized with like strip clubs. So yeah, it was this constant me going and trying to talk to them about it and them saying, well, this isn't going to happen overnight. And me finally blowing up on them and saying, like, you've been telling me this is going to happen overnight for 2 years now. So and so, after that, after I kind of made it like a public issue, it moved very fast. It was like 2 months and then we were clear to open where we wanted to cuz we're right across from town hall now. Before we would have had to be in like an industrial park. And so now we're right there. We're at the busiest intersection in the center of town, right across from town hall, the police station, the fire department, all that stuff. So I got a really good spot, and it was worth it, and it was aggravating at the time to have to fight with them for so long. But in hindsight, like if had they cleared me to do this 2 years prior, that location probably wouldn't have been open. I might have been somewhere else, so it's kind of like, I'm definitely not like an everything happens for a reason type of guy, but like in that situation, I just felt like the timing was right and it worked out in our favor.
So in that area, is it similar to how it was in New York for a long time, where tattooing was like illegal because it was either I can't remember what the laws were for, but in the 90s, I think up until then, you couldn't tattoo in the city because of like gang related things and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with like I know that like tattoo shops are like outlawed for a long time in New York, in Manhattan, but no, it wasn't that. There were other tattoo shops here before mine. There was 3 over the course of time that I could remember, and one of them was there since I was a little kid, since I was
Mhm.
like a teenager. But I think that was a situation where, they went and opened because there were no zoning regulations about tattoo shops. So they just went and opened where they wanted to. And, then as more went in, somebody said, hey, we got to do something about this. And they, made up some zoning regulations for it.
Right. Well, tell me before we move on, what is the most fucked up tattoo you've ever had to do?
Boy, I don't have like any real crazy stories. Like, I mean, there's people that got like crazy shit, like, sexual kind of stuff, like on the inside of their lip or
Mhm.
like above their ass or something like that. Yeah, at one point, some girl wanted me, I hope she's not listening to this, but some girl wanted me to do like exit only in graffiti letters above her ass. And I'm like, all right, whatever.
You're definitely not gonna regret that one.
Right. So, yeah, whatever. I mean, there's stories like that, but I don't really have anything. I've heard stories that I'm like, "Oh god," but I've never had any sit things like that on my own that I could share.
Never had anybody come in asking for a white power tattoo or anything? Hell yeah, that's fucked up.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And the dude got mad at me when I told him no.
Yeah, of course.
Freaked out.
Why?
Yeah, I can't even repeat what he said to me. I won't say the words, but
No, I mean, I'm sure it's unrepeatable. Yeah.
Yeah, but, like, got into it with me in the shop, like, had was just kinda, like, mouthing off, and I'm like, "Dude, just go. Have one of your boys do it. I don't give a fuck, but, like, I'm not doing it." And then I went outside, I don't know, maybe a half hour later to go get I had to go get, like, some things from the dollar store, like tape or something like that, and the dude was still pacing around outside and started fucking talking shit to me again. And I was like, "This is your last chance, dude. Like, just get the fuck away from me. Don't come back." You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And he wasn't the only one. Had some other dude try to, like, trick me into doing it. And not that I know, like, every single symbol that they use, but, like, these were, like, very apparent. He wanted them, like, in
Yeah.
his hairline, and I'm like, "Nah, I'm not doing it." And he's like, "No, it's just Viking symbols." And I'm like, "Dude, it's not. I know what it is." And, so, yeah, and then he went on Facebook and bitched about it. Like not it wasn't a review, but, like, tagged me in a post saying that I was basically saying I was an asshole and I wouldn't do a tattoo for him. And I wrote, I'm like, "Do we really need to talk about what you wanted to get on a public forum?" And then he deleted the whole thing, and that was it.
Yep. There you go.
Yeah.
Man, that's
So,
crazy.
yeah, I mean, those are probably the 2 instances over tattooing for 18 years. Like, that's, it's happened maybe 2, maybe 3 times, but, like, people don't really. I think that when people are getting shit like that, they're doing it in their basement with their friends that are,
Mhm.
like, into the same things. But
I think
yeah,
you have
it
to be
was.
kind of stupid to go into a tattoo shop like like in this year,
Yeah,
like to
yeah,
be like, "Hey, give me this." And everybody's going to be like, "Dude, what?"
yeah. I think the first one, the guy that wanted the giant swastika on his back, that was like 2012.
That's
Mind
so
you, where I worked was not like, it was very urban. So, in the first place, like, you're coming in, what are you thinking, man? Like, you live here and this is what you want to put on your body? But the second guy was probably like 2017 maybe. So that was about as recent as it gets. Again, I think those dudes hide out and fucking, order machines on Amazon and do it on each other. I don't know.
I mean, that's I just can't imagine seeing that, but I've definitely heard from other tattoo buddies that it's like it's more common than you would expect.
Yeah, they're still out there.
Yeah.
And they think that just because they think they walk in and see another white dude that you're going to be cool about it. Nah. And that's what that first guy, I will repeat part of what he said, but he asked me if I, in not a nice way, asked me if I was a Jew. And I said, "No, I'm not, but I have friends that are, and I would be humiliated if they ever found out I did something like that on you." And then he rattled off a bunch of other shit. But, like, it's just go somewhere else. Find your people, have them do it. I'm not one of you.
Yeah, I mean, most of us are not one of that.
Hmm.
Like that's
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
How do you know Nick?
Nick and I, so at that shop where the guy came in and wanted the swastika on his back, me and Nick worked together for a few years before he moved to Boston.
Okay.
That's how I met him. Uh, I started there in 2010, and was it 2010? Yeah, 2010. I started there, and yeah, we met. I don't know if he was still an apprentice or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what point he was at in his career, but he was piercing there. And then we kind of stayed in touch, and then wound up in 2020. He wound up coming to work with me at our new location for a few years. But yeah,
He is one of the funniest dudes
but
I
yeah,
think I've ever hung out with. Like even when we met when we did that run with you guys, Montreal and Quebec. And like from there, he already knew my guitarist because he knew Mundy's Bay.
okay,
It was like an old indie rock band that he was in. And so like from there, we just all kept in contact. And whenever we announced we were playing Philly, he was like, "Hey, like I'm going to be at the show if y'all need somewhere to stay." We were like, "What the
cool.
hell?" So yeah, we stayed at his Kensington shop. Like so scary. And I'm American, and that is like a scary neighborhood.
Really? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not familiar.
So yeah, he lives. Do you know about like the K&A, like the drug market thing that they have going on? Everybody's on like Trank.
No.
Dude, it's insane. Okay, anyway, he just lives in a very sketchy area, like one of the sketchiest neighborhoods in America.
Yeah. No shit.
He has like iron like gates over his windows.
Wow.
Yeah,
I did
it's
not
sick.
know that.
It's cool, but it's just really funny because like nobody really fucks with you. It's just like you kind of want to keep a lookout and take all your shit in from your car.
Yeah.
But it was super nice of him to let us like crash, and he took us around Philly like for 2 days basically and
That's
hung
fun.
out. So we love, shout out to the geezer. We love the geezer. What do you think it was about Connecticut in the late 90s, early 2000s that bred so much hardcore?
I don't know. I've heard a lot of people respond to that question with boredom, like there wasn't much to do.
Yeah.
But I grew up right outside of New Haven. So I guess there was stuff to do. I was going to hardcore shows.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I think we just, had a lot of musicians that were writing heavy stuff, and the shows were always good. I think I saw my first like big hardcore show. I'd been to like smaller like local stuff prior, but I think the first one was either 96, 97. It was Orange 9mm, Handsome, and Unsane at the Tune In. So that was like the first like big one that I went to. And I think it might have been like a week later or something like that. I went back and saw 25 to Life, which, they were huge back then. Place was packed. I went and saw H2O there. That was crazy. So it was like three very different types of hardcore that I saw like right in a row. And I'm like, man, this shit is crazy. And at that time, well, around that time, I was, we were just making like a heavier band, like with the dudes that we were talking about before. And we didn't play stuff like that. It was more, it's crazy because a lot of the newer stuff that I'm hearing, kind of like, man, we should have waited to do that till 20 years later. But, yeah, I was hearing all kinds of different stuff. And really, I just liked being at shows, like I would go to ska shows, punk shows, rock shows, like whoever I didn't care as long as I didn't have to sit home. I just wanted to go and watch music. So I got to see a bunch of really cool stuff and catch a lot of bands that, I got lucky, with the timing and everything. And that venue, the Tune In, was right on the bus line from my high school. I actually wound up working there for a little bit when I was like 15 or 16. I would go there on Thursdays and like help clean the place or whatever. And he would let me into shows for free. But yeah, it was right on the bus line. So like I'd walk out of school, get on the city bus and just go down there.
Was there a particular band or like kind of person that kind of threw you into the hardcore scene, or was it just by living in the New Haven area?
So my first, it was a little bit of a combination, but my first band, like I said, was kind of like a rock metal band. I didn't know what hardcore was yet. I was 14. And we started that band, like we were talking about it in 8th grade. And then when we got to high school, it was like, all right, let's get together and jam and write some songs, do some covers or whatever. So we were playing like Ozzy covers and Quiet Riot and Judas Priest and, shit like that, Pantera, Metallica, stuff like that. And then, so when we would go to play shows, we were the only teenagers playing stuff like that. The rest of the rock bands were like old men, so
Right.
like nobody really knew what shows to put us on. So we would wind up playing with smaller hardcore bands, to get like different crowds in there and make a bigger show or whatever. So we wound up playing with Sum of All Fears, I believe. Sum of All Fears or B Arts, one of those bands at the Tune In. And so I started seeing like at the shows we were on, I started seeing like hardcore bands that were like smaller and local and stuff like that. Started making friends and kind of talking to people. And it just kind of evolved from there.
So how do you find your way into Death Threat? How do those connections work out? Because
So
Jamie was not even, he was from like Mass.
yeah, I'd met Jamie briefly when he, was originally still doing Death Threat. It was right at that same venue. At one point they had turned, it was like a juice bar at first, and I had like skateboards hanging from the ceiling and stuff. And then they turned it into like a real bar where there's like a cage around it. And I wasn't old enough to go in there, but I had a friend that worked there that was also named Jamie. And I yelled over to him, and Push Button looked over at me and I didn't know him. I don't even know if he knows this story or remembers it, but I was like, yo, Jamie. And then, but Push Button was the one that looked over. He's like, what's up, man? I didn't know what to do. I just like shook his hand. I was like, what's up? I like that, I like Hatebreed, But yeah, met him there, but, like, I had when I was doing, that first, like, hardcore band, I met my friend Josh was playing in a band called, Choke Puppy. It was like a ska, punk, hardcore, like, it was, like, all different parts mixed in, and he was tight with the original Death Ray guitar player, CJ, and, he introduced us, so, like, I'd met CJ, I'd been seeing him around at shows and stuff like that, and then when I went to the Last Days record release, I'd met Aaron, and, when I've told this story a million times, but when Death Threat needed a bass player, CJ called me, asked me for Steve's number because, Steve and I were playing in the band together. So I was like, oh yeah, it's blah, 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 blah. And I immediately called Steve. I was like, yo, CJ just called me. I think he wants you to like try out for Death Threat. And he was, obviously psyched. And then, but, and Steve did it for like a year. And then CJ wound up quitting, within that year, maybe a little longer. And Steve called me and, kind of gave the favor back. But like I said, I'd met these guys. I'd seen them around at shows. We would hang out, like small talk, stuff like that. So I wasn't like tight with all of them by any means. But yeah, it just, it wound up working out. We knew each other enough where like we were comfortable getting in the same room to jam on songs. So yeah, it was cool. It was I've said this before, but like when I had the opportunity to go, practice with them, I was like, I am not missing out on it. Like I never played, I played those songs so much that it was like, when I went in there to do it, it was just like it was a done deal, And I think Aaron waited a little while. I think we probably played like half a dozen shows or maybe a little bit more before he was like, hey, so you want to like join? And I was like, yeah. Um Yeah, I remember it was the Super Bowl of Hardcore in DC. On our way down there, he asked me if I wanted to like, do it for real and like be a member of the band. And I was fucking psyched, obviously.
And Push Button was still in the band at that time, or
No, at the time. So when, let's see, they had a kid named Bill Ross playing, and he was on Forgotten Government and Now Here Fast with us. And like the stuff that we did before that. But Bill was in the band. He got into the band around the same time as Steve and played with us up until I want to say like 2005 maybe. But yeah, so Bill was playing at the time. And Jamie was I'd only honestly probably only seen Jamie play with Death Threat a handful of times, between Last Days and Peace and Security coming out, because he was doing double duty, he was doing Hatebreed at the same time. So it wasn't long before they were like, I think, getting fill-ins and stuff like that until Bill joined. I love Jamie. I love having him back in the band. He's the best. He's the best dude.
it was so cool to like get to see those songs get played by basically almost the like original lineup. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, it's basically the longest running lineup,
Yeah.
in a way.
I joined in February of 01. So,
That's so did you play on Peace and Security as well?
Nope.
No.
Nope. Last Days and Peace and Security, CJ played on. I think Boulder was on Last Days as well.
But you are on Here Now Fast and
Now Here Fast, God
Now
and
Here
Government.
Fast and God and Government, yeah.
All the splits, Lost at Sea, the
singles.
yeah, the tribute to Oi Comp was my first recording with them. It was like very shortly after I started playing live with them. I don't remember the time. I mean, it's 25 years ago. I don't remember like the exact timelines, but it was kind of like we practiced, I think, twice, and it was like, all right, we got 5 shows coming up. I was like, all right. But at the time, because I was new, I think Sean Martin had planned on filling in until he found somebody. So, and he must have had time off or something, because me and Sean wound up playing like my first 5 or 6 shows together. So it was me and Sean on guitar, and Steve, Bill, and Aaron. Yeah,
Man, it's like what impresses me about the Connecticut scene is it really is like, I don't like the word incestuous,
yeah,
but in a sense it is.
yeah.
Cause like,
I get what you're saying.
Sean and Push Button and like even Beatty, like a lot of those guys went around to so many different bands, and like most everyone ended up playing in Hatebreed, I think, at one point or another. And then, you know what I mean? It's really funny. Like 100 Demons is all those people too. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
and I think that's why a lot of people think Connecticut's so small,
yeah.
because it's like
It's the same 8 people.
20
in all
of
the
this.
bands.
Yeah, literally. Like we played our first show in Connecticut that same run when we stayed with Nick, and it was literally in the middle of nowhere, in Danielson, Connecticut. Yeah,
I've heard of it. I've never been there.
40 minutes from Providence, basically. Yeah, it's on the very east side of the state.
Okay.
It was like in a VFW shed.
So it's up by like Groton, New London area, like up there. Like
Yeah, it's like the town over from New London.
okay,
We went to the Guitar Center in New London. So,
I've never
yeah.
heard of Danielson.
I mean, there's a
I mean, I've
Target.
heard of it, but like I've never been
Yeah,
there. I've never gotten off an exit for it. Maybe there's not one. I don't know.
there's a Target there. Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
okay,
That's it.
that's cool.
The Eastern Connecticut Hardcore put it on, which is the same guy who's booking some shows for us, Dean. And Lumpy ended up pulling up with like a little distro for days and stuff like that. But like all of the bands, it's super interesting because you can hear how much influence comes from the New England scene as a whole.
Yeah,
But I ended up saying, I was like, Connecticut has a very long history of influential hardcore, even though a lot of people think it's like a small pass through kind of state.
yeah,
The effect it's had on like hardcore as a whole throughout the years is immense. Like 100 Demons, Hatebreed, Death Threat. Like those three bands, just in general, span a wide influence of what has shaped hardcore today.
yeah, for sure.
And they're very completely different
Yeah,
bands.
yeah. I can definitely say I see that as being a fan of Death Threat first, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, Hatebreed's probably the biggest hardcore band of all time. I know they play like the bigger metal shows and stuff like that now, but I mean, as far as like, especially back then, like the work ethic and Jamie was booking every hardcore show that I could think of in the early 2000s, big places, small places, doing, the Stillborn Fest, stuff like that. There was other people behind the scenes too, but he was really the guy, and I remember going to his house when I first met him. I'll tell you the story about when I met him. It was just funny. So it was, I don't remember what year it was, maybe, I don't know. And my friend's father owned a music store. So they would get like comp tickets all the time, right? So I think it was like Limp Bizkit and Korn or something like that at the New Haven Coliseum. So they had a ticket. They asked me if I wanted to go. I'm kind of like, oh, I don't really like those bands, but like, I'll go. So I think during Limp Bizkit, I fell asleep in my chair and I woke up because we were like up high, you know what I mean? And I was just like, wasn't into it. I was and I'm not hating on them, or it just wasn't for me, especially at that time when I was hearing like all these real heavy hardcore bands and like, getting to meet them after the show and stuff. Like I'm up, 4 stories watching a band on a screen. It wasn't the same for me, I've never tried to re-listen to them, but like it wasn't for me, but so I'm up there. I fell asleep and I'm like, fuck, I'm going to go take a walk. I'm like embarrassed, the guys I went with, I'm like, man, this looks shitty. I feel bad. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get a water or something. And I walked downstairs and I knew who Jamie was. I'd seen Hatebreed before. And I saw him in the hallway of the New Haven Coliseum passing out Hatebreed flyers. And I walk up to him. I'm like, yo, what's up, dude? Like, I love Hatebreed or whatever. And he's like, oh, you're Wes, you playing Disown. He's like, I saw you guys before. I'm like, and I'm like, wow, this is like, even at that time was like the biggest hardcore band I've ever seen, And I'm like, oh, sick. And we traded like instant messenger names and started talking. And, but yeah, fast forward a little bit. And I I went to his house. We were on our way to like drop off flyers because him and I would get in a car and just like drive to all the record stores around Connecticut and drop off flyers for our shows, or he had like a music store at the time, so we would drop off flyers for that or whatever. And I went there and he had like a bunch of envelopes for me and they already filled out. He's like, yo, if you guys want to play out of state, these are the guys to talk to. Throw your demo in there, mail it out, which was really fucking cool as a teenager, kind of having this dude fill out envelopes for me so I could mail my demo to, it was, I don't even think I had even thought about playing out of state yet, and one of those envelopes went to Joe Hardcore and he still has like the VHS that I sent. I sent him a VHS tape of my band playing at Toad's Place in New Haven.
Man.
Yeah. We talked about it a few years ago. It's funny, but that was, that was it. He was bringing in bands from out of state and trading shows with people and hooking up local bands with these other bands, and they were trading shows. And it was, Hatebreed did a lot for hardcore, and I hate it, because I see people online kinda yapping or whatever, "Oh, well, they don't come around, they don't do this, they don't do that." Man, these dudes are pushing 50. They're supposed to hang out at a hardcore show at a VFW? No. They did their time. They put it like, they can go see the bands they wanna see without you talking shit, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the footwork, like you see some of the old shows from like the 90s of them playing, VFWs and little dive DIYs and shit like that. And I mean, even then the crowd is going insane. They know
Yeah.
the lyrics, like they know everything.
Yep.
So, I mean, yeah, I think they've done their time. Like
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
enough. And I mean, even like with everything going on with Hatebreed right now, people can think one way or another, but you know, the OGs are the OGs.
That's it, yeah.
I'll say that. Which very excited to hear the new project from BD and Sean and Push Button.
Yeah.
They're keeping it very under wraps, it seems.
Yeah. I haven't even heard anything yet. I've heard other projects that, like, Jamie's work on, but I haven't heard that one yet.
I heard he was on one with Tommy as well from Broken Vow, but I haven't heard. He's like some young guys from Mass.
Yep. Yeah, I heard those songs.
You heard them?
Yep.
I have no idea what it is.
I'm not gonna
Damn it.
spoil anything. It's
All
good.
right,
It's heavy,
it's fine. I'm gonna have to have Push Button on
Yeah. Get him.
at one point.
He might actually drink coffee.
I think he does.
I think he does.
Well, shout out Push Button. I have a lot of love. He came up whenever we played in Montreal, and he was like, "Whose drum kit is that?" And I was like, "Well, it's mine, but I'm not playing it tonight." And he was like, "Well, thanks for bringing the drums." And I was like, "Dude, really? You don't have to do that."
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
I love that dude.
And anytime we come anywhere close to where he's gonna be, he always like kind of sends a message and is like, "Hope the shows go well."
Awesome.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, the best.
How's it been playing shows again with Death Threat?
Good. I mean, we did all the like anniversary shows and stuff like that a few years back. I did most of them, although I wasn't an original member.
Mhm.
I did most of the shows with them. There was a few that I did not do. But that was fun, it was cool to like be a part of that, kind of reunion thing or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the shows are great, post COVID, like everybody's shows are great, I think. But
To an extent,
there's
yeah.
like that time period where everybody was just itching to get out,
Mhm.
I think that, when we did our first shows back in Connecticut at this place in New Haven, it was like those anniversary shows. And I want to say both shows sold out in like an hour. And it was like 2 nights in a row, back to back, same place. And I was like, what is going on? Because, it slowed down a little bit since then. I mean, it's still big shows, but it's like you don't see that like a small hardcore band selling out a show in an hour anymore, And like the fests were huge coming back from that and everything like that. See it kind of like leveling out a little bit, but seeing a lot of these new bands that are coming out, I'm like, man, hardcore is bigger than it's ever been. It's kind of crazy.
It is everywhere that I go, I always see like younger and younger people moshing and like going really crazy. The bands that they're starting, they've done their research.
Mhm.
They know what the sound is. That Unbroken Wings, Seven Angels, Seven Plagues type shit is full force again.
Yeah. And I love it because it's easy now for kids to go record, like
Yeah,
they've
it's all
grown up
digital.
with the technology to do it, For us, it was, I remember, I was 14 recording a full length with my friends. And like, you know, my dad went there and like set it up with the guys so we would have studio time. And, like we left with like an unmixed thing. And it's like these kids are doing it on their iPhones now. They're doing it on their iPads or, MacBooks or whatever. It's so cool because like, I mean, it just having that technology at your fingertips, like opens things up to like, okay, a person who might have been like super talented and had great songs, but in 1997 might not have been able to afford studio time can just do it now, So, a lot of music, but like the people that are working hard are shining,
And I like to think that like experience is always the best teacher as well. So as long as you're kind of like putting stuff out, learning from it, playing shows and learning from that, like I think it's a good sign
Yeah, for sure.
instead of just thinking that like just because you're not playing the biggest show in the world, it doesn't really mean much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any plans, any upcoming things that you're working on that you want to shout out?
Hmm. Besides well, we have Steve from Heroes and Martyrs is putting out Forgotten Government and Now Here Fast on vinyl. Finally, after 20 something years.
It's a long time.
Yes. Yeah, those are the only 2 albums that we did that never got released on vinyl, and,
Hmm.
so that, that's coming up. I think G&G is we got our test presses in, and I'm pretty sure everything got okayed, so it's just a matter of, producing them now. We talked about colorways with him and stuff like that, and I know he has some plans to do, like, special editions for different distributors, and, for my tattoo shop, we're doing something special. For, my buddy Jay's shop, who he owns a record shop, I'm doing something special for that. For Aaron's pizza shop, it's gonna be a different colorway, like we got some cool things cooking, so it's like, it might make it hard for these, for the people that wanna run out there and grab every color, but, they might have to stop into my tattoo shop finally.
Just get some flash, get a record,
Yep. But yeah, so Steve came through with some great ideas. And prior to that, I might even talk to him about it a few years ago, because a few people reached out about doing it. And for a while, we were kind of like, nah, man, we'll just do it ourselves. Like, we'll do it ourselves when the time's right. Like, why would we, But it's like, when the right person comes along and they're just as passionate, if not more, about releasing your music than, as you are, it's like, all right, this makes sense, and Steve's that guy, so he's done a great job so far, and we're really psyched to work with him. Besides that, we tried writing some new songs, but I don't know how that's, we haven't really been, we had some shows get in the way of that, so we've been busy, and it's hard to get together because we're scattered all over the Northeast, but maybe at some point we'll put some stuff, do like a new whatever 7-inch or something like that.
Didn't y'all just play Albany like a couple weeks ago?
We did, yeah. Great show.
Was it
That
good?
was, yeah. Oh my God, it was awesome. Yeah. Didn't know what to expect because we'd played like a small bar in Poughkeepsie a couple months ago, and with kind of pretty much the same lineup. But Albany was like, that was like a small bar, a little stage, could only hold so many people, but like it wasn't like a sold out, packed out situation. So I'm kind of like, oh man, we're playing I went into it that day. Literally got out of my car. I'm like, shit, we tried this before. Like, is this gonna work? And then I go inside and I watched a little bit of the first band, and I was sending people pictures. I'm like, yo, this show's looking good. And then went outside, and there was just as many people chilling outside as there was inside. And I'm like, all right, this is good.
Was it at No Fun?
No, it was at
Empire?
Empire. Yeah, Empire
Wow, okay.
Underground.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great show. I don't know. Do you know Mike Valente?
Yeah. We played that Bulldog Courage reunion show.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, he was great. Everything went smooth. I think we even got to go on like a little bit earlier than planned,
Nice.
and we got to start the show a little bit later. So it was just, it was great vibe, and the vibe did not stop through the whole night. It was a good time, and Mike puts on a good show. He always has. So it was a lot of fun.
The hospitality we had was great between Mike and Buddy. Buddy
Mhm.
is the nicest dude in the world.
Yeah, for sure.
Shout out Unbeaten Records.
Yeah.
And we actually played with Wisdom and War that same show, which I know played y'all's as well. So yeah, they're really great. I was bummed. We were thinking about driving down for it, but it was just the timing was like right after we went to the States. So we were kind of broke
Yeah.
and tired and sick.
You
So
know how that goes.
yeah, yeah. So, but we really wanted to come by and see you guys again because, I always love seeing Death Threat live, and I think all the bands that played were like people that we kind of knew already.
Yeah.
Like Crush Your Soul, I think Ryan plays drums in that band from Geigen. I think one of the guys from Geigen is in Crush Your Soul.
Yeah. Yeah. I know, like, a lot of those guys share, a lot of those bands share band members,
Incestuous again.
Yeah. But hey, like that dude Tony, I think, is in every band from that area, but he's great. He's a great
The
guitar player. He's a
guitarist?
good dude.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, Crush Your Soul fucking killed it, dude. Like, I was watching them
band's
from the
sick.
back, and it was just like nonstop stage diving and, people singing along, going crazy. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's a sick band. I like Albany, I've always heard is a weird city. I'm not from this area, so like a lot of people grew up going to Albany shows from Montreal and vice versa.
Yeah.
People like Mike Rule with Shed My Skin and stuff like that. He was always going down there to see Stigmata and Section 8 and all that.
Yeah.
Um,
Man, Section 8. I remember seeing them in the 90s too. They were fucking crazy.
so he's always like, he went to the reunions and did like, he filmed all of it and stuff like that. So he's always talking really, really highly about Troy and Albany and the upstate scene.
Yeah.
So when we went, it was a little bit different, but a lot of old heads came out to support Bulldog Courage, which was really cool.
That's great.
But yeah, shout out Albany. It's so close. I wish we could play it more, but you really got to,
Yeah.
like you were saying, be selective about the shows that you play there.
Yeah, I live like it's probably like a little over 2-hour drive for me, but I love going up there. One of my best friends, actually one of the dudes that got me into hardcore, my friend Steve lives up there. He has like a plumbing business and stuff. You know, he doesn't right, you know, he's not like in a band or anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But we went up. I met him up there to go see Many Eyes. My boy Nick Belmore plays drums in the band. But yeah, we went up there, hung out for the night. I got a hotel room, jetted back in the morning. You know, but yeah, Albany's a hop, skip, and a jump. It's the same distance for me from Boston. You know,
Yeah.
except like you get off the exit in Boston and you're sitting in line for 45 minutes waiting to get where you're going. You know, depending on what's going on in the city. You know, but. Yeah, same distance. I live a little bit closer to New York City. I'm probably like an hour and a half from Manhattan, a little further to Brooklyn. But yeah, I love being where I am, you know, in New Haven because like there's so many places that I can go and watch stuff and just kind of like show up, know a few people, hang out for a little bit and then book, you know.
Yeah. It's so central over there, which is cool. And y'all got great pizza.
Yes, the best.
So, yes. I was bummed we didn't get to go to where did I want to go? Sally's?
But yeah,
Sally's at
Sally's is
pizza.
one of the OGs.
I think that was the one that Dave Portnoy gave like the pizza capital brand to Connecticut for.
Yeah.
So, we really wanted to go over there.
I've eaten there a bunch of times at Sally's, the original Pepe's. I go to my favorite pizza in New Haven isn't any of those like top three, like, you know, Sally's, Pepe's, Modern. Like I love Modern. I actually tattooed the son of the guy that owns it. I did the Modern logo on him before. He's
That's
a great
crazy.
guy. But my favorite for New Haven pizza is this place called Bar Pizza. It's like they have like a dance club in the back and like the front of it's all like picnic style tables and go in there, order drinks, food, whatever. They're great. They're probably like the thinnest crust in New Haven, in my opinion. But I love Modern as well. So it's a toss up. Depends how I'm feeling that day. What I want to go to Modern or Bar, but those are my favorites.
Yeah, so it's definitely on the list to go back. I definitely want to play either like Stamford or New Haven area just to have an excuse to go get pizza and go to Archive.
Yeah, I haven't been there yet. I actually have I send out, when I make tattoo flash, I send it out to different tattoo shops and music stores and stuff like that in case they want to hang it out. They probably throw it out, but I don't know. But I actually have an envelope over there for Archive that I have to mail out. I've never been there, but it's not too far from me. It's like 35 minutes, I think. But yeah, I've heard great things.
My wife is really into like B horror movies and stuff like that. And Vinegar Syndrome is like, one of the bigger distributors of small budget films.
Yeah.
And that's like their home base is Archive.
Oh, no way. That's cool.
Which actually they have a Vinegar Syndrome store in Toronto, and Chris Callahan from Cursed and Sect is like the main guy over there. So when he came, we played with them recently, and I was like, "Don't you work at Vinegar Syndrome?" And we were just talking about movies. We didn't even talk about Cursed, even though that's one of the best Canadian bands ever.
So you're into like the horror movie stuff?
So
Or more like the B movie stuff in general?
I am not. My wife 100% is. I like classics more so than anything. So like, we just watched In Cold Blood.
I haven't seen that.
Dude, it's one of the sickest. Like, it's a Truman Capote story, but it's like the way that it's shot and the lighting. It's in black and white. It's from the 60s. I think it was filmed in 66, and the way they shot it is just beautiful. And the way that the story unfolds is like, that's really what gets me, is like story and cinematography are like the two main
Yeah.
things. So
I
like my
just
favorite movie is about a ballet story from 1948, but it's because of the lighting.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But what were you saying? Sorry.
No, that's okay. I just watched like the classics, like just recently, like in the past year, like Child's Play, Friday the 13th. Like I'd never seen those when I was a kid. Cause I remember asking my dad, like, oh, can I watch that? And he's like, why do you want to watch those movies? They're corny. Everything's puppets, blah, blah, blah. You know, he like totally like ruined it for me. And then this dude Trey that I tattoo was doing like a horror movie leg sleeve. And I'm like, all right, this is my chance. Like I have to watch these movies. Like, so when he would come in to get a tattoo, whether it was Chucky or, Freddy or whoever, we would watch that movie while I was doing the tattoo. So
That's
I didn't
sick.
get to like take all of it in, but it was, I got the gist of it. So I just recently watched those. So my knowledge of like horror stuff isn't that great. Larry Dwyer, who used to play in Death Threat and Hatebreed, does like
Mhm.
the CT horror convention every year. Yeah. He's like the dude. He was the one that puts it on.
I'm gonna have to roll out to that. My wife would be stoked to go to that,
Yeah.
and I'd be stoked to be in Connecticut. So
Yeah, man. Get on. He does like a mailing list or whatever for
okay,
it, because I get the emails all the time. But yeah, get on it because it would be fun. Hit me up if you come through for that.
yeah, for sure.
I still haven't been to one because, like I said, I'm not really like into that stuff. But I would totally go to support Larry.
I only know enough through like transmission, because it's like I'll pass through the hallway or something and see my wife watching some weird fucked up movie. Like we watched Child's Play. She had watched it when she was a kid, but I had never seen it, and I was always scared of Chucky as a kid.
Yeah,
Even though it's ironic because we're both gingers. Uh, but I decided I wanted to dress up as I have a office Halloween party coming up this week, and I already have the sweater and a fake knife and overalls
perfect.
and red hair. So you know what? God damn it, I'm gonna be Chucky.
There you
So
go.
I watched Child's Play like yesterday. So it's a great fucking movie.
Yeah, it's hilarious. He's getting
It's
like dragged
crazy.
around and shit like that. It's good.
He's like set on fire, dude. It's crazy.
I never watched like the sequels to it, but like I saw the original. It was pretty ridiculous.
Well, the kid Andy, like the little kid, he's in every Chucky movie,
Oh, really?
every single one.
That's crazy.
Like up until 2017, he's like a 40-year-old man. So I mean, I don't know if that's what he wanted to base his life around, but he did.
Hey, he did it.
Well, Wes, I really appreciate you hanging out. It's been a wonderful Sunday evening.
Hell yeah. Thanks for having me on.
I have one last question for you before we go. Well, usually it's what's your favorite city for beans and breakdowns? We don't have to talk about the beans. What's your favorite city for breakdowns?
Favorite city for breakdowns. I wish I knew that was coming. Shit.
Tread lightly too, because you'll have the whole state of Connecticut coming after you if you answer wrong.
I mean, I'm not gonna say Connecticut. I grew up on like like it's New York hardcore, it's Madball, it's Killing Time, it's
Biohazard.
yeah. I mean, I remember seeing Biohazard videos when I was a kid. Never really like got into them. I know some of the songs and stuff, but yeah, I mean, dude, Agnostic Front was like the first band to take us to Europe, like I got to watch Agnostic Front for a month straight every night. It was crazy. If I wasn't already sold on New York Marauder, like how
Marauders.
you can't fuck with those five bands,
Master Killer is the greatest album of all time.
absolutely. But yeah, I'm gonna go with New York City.
I mean, I second that. New York hardcore is my favorite hardcore.
Yeah,
I think New England or Northeast/Connecticut is probably second, just
yeah,
because of Hatebreed and 100 Demons and Death Threat. But New York is like the laundry list of bands.
yeah.
Even
It's
today, like Combust. Combust is one of the best fucking
like
hardcore
great. I
bands.
love that dude's voice. Amazing. He comes up and does a song with us once in a while. It's fucking
Man, Andrew, he's so good.
yeah. But even outside of like the breakdowns, like New York, you got, H2O and Gorilla Biscuits, Civ, like it's just, you can't fuck with it. It's just too many.
It's always that constant like push-pull between Boston and New York, I think. Like you've either got like guys that are like Boston or you've got guys that are like New York. I always think New York had more of like the urban influence that made
For
it
sure. Yeah.
really groovy and shit like that. So,
100%.
but Boston gets, as much respect from me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely had some heavy hitters.
Yep. Shout out Death Before Dishonor, one of my favorite bands. I fucking love it. All right. Anyway, Wes, again, thank you so much for hanging out. This has been really great.
Thanks, dude.
Let me hit the stop on the